Hey everybody, Travis Herman here, Springfield Fire Department, Station 10, Shift 3. We're here to tell you a little bit about the air trailer at Station 10, otherwise known as AR1 or Air 1. We've got a couple of things to go over just as refreshers, and hopefully you'll catch some new things today about the operation of the air trailer in a couple different modes. When you come to Station 10, the air trailer is typically plugged into the wall, and so we're going to start by just a general startup when it's in the station, and then also go over what you need to do in order to make it mobile. So when you come to the air trailer first, you'll probably find that the trailer is plugged into the wall. If you want to come over here, alongside the wall next to the air trailer, you'll find a large plug plugged into the wall here, and it's already fastened. That means it's already set up to be used on shoreline power. You'll also find a trickle charger over on this side that's plugged in, charging the 12-volt battery, and it's plugged in right here next to the generator. Inside this air trailer, we have two different components. The first component is the generator, otherwise known as the genset, and this is a 40 kW generator that's powered by a diesel motor. Just to put that in perspective, your smaller Generac station house generators are about 22 kW, so this is a really large generator. And we'll go over it in a little bit. Then you have the second component of the air trailer, which is the compressor, and it's powered by a 3-phase electric 15-horse motor. And like we said before, this motor can be powered either from the shoreline in the house at the station, or I'll show you in a little bit, we'll switch it over and power the generator. So the first thing that we'll do when we're running it off the shoreline is come in here. You can leave the shoreline plugged in, and we're going to switch the switch here by the motor, by the electric motor, to auxiliary or lights. Either one of those will work, and then we can come to the back of the generator, or to the air trailer. And there are lists here at the back that will tell you the startup procedure. And really, this is the startup procedure for the generator itself. So we can bypass all of this and go directly to the start button, which is right here. And all you have to do is power on the generator here, and the generator should kick on. Right now, if it doesn't kick on, it's usually because the air in the generator is already above 4,000 psi or 4,500 psi. So once this storage air goes below 4,000, then the generator will automatically kick on. So what we're going to cover now is how to transfer or reconfigure the air trailer to be used mobily, like if you're going to pull it out of the station and take it to a scene, and how to change it over to use the generator to power the compressor. The first thing that we're going to do is unhook from the shoreline tower. There's a clip here that you're going to raise, and then this large disc turns a quarter turn, and then this comes right out of the wall. The next thing we're going to do is take this cable and run it back through over here on the other side of the air trailer, and we'll go on the other side now. And then this, pull it all the way through. We actually cord up here by the generator, and then the cord comes to the front side of the generator, where there is a large outlet, and you'll see that there's a keyway here on the plug that aligns with the bottom of the plug here. So make sure that keyway is on the bottom. Plug it in all the way, and then twist that ring, the locking ring, a quarter turn. So we'll now go into actually running the generator to power the compressor. First thing we're going to make sure that we do is have all 4 doors on the trailer open. So these doors here need to be open. There's 2 doors on each side. There, open. Open. And to run the generator, the first thing that we're going to do is actually turn the generator to automatic mode, which is this toggle switch up. And you're going to see the LCD screen light up. It's going to tell you how many volts are in the battery to start the generator. And just like we're on shore power, while we're here, we're going to turn this generator switch on auxiliary or lights, either one. And then we're going to come to the back of the trailer. And to start the generator, the first thing we're going to do is make sure that the trailer is stable and that it's not going to move. You can follow your list here. But to start the generator, all we have to do is turn the genset key to on. When you do that, we can come around to the side of the trailer here and see that the glow plugs are running. On the LCD screen, it'll say glow plugs on. For some reason, this diesel engine takes quite a bit of glow plug warm-up time. As soon as the glow plugs are done burning, the generator will automatically kick on. I'm going to start the generator for you and let you hear it run. When using the generator and the compressor, hearing protection is required. So right now the generator is warming up on the glow plugs. It should start automatically here in just a little bit. We're letting the compressor run for 5 minutes to warm up. Once the compressor has ran for 5 minutes, so we're back to the air trailer now, and the genset has been turned on, and the glow plugs have warmed up, and the generator is running. And once the generator is running, we want to try and let it warm up for 5 minutes, as our placard says right here. This is especially important in cold weather operations, but it's a good thing to do anytime you're running it. Just let the diesel motor on the generator warm up for a little bit is the purpose of why we let it run for 5 minutes, just to prepare it for the load that the compressor will put on it when it kicks on. The compressor's a 220 volt, 3-phase, 15 horse motor, so when you kick the compressor on, it pulls quite a bit of juice out of the generator. So that's what that's for. When we do go to power on the generator, after letting it warm up for 5 minutes, we're just going to hit the power on button. And the one thing I did want to mention was the carbon monoxide alarm system. We have a CO alarm system and a moisture alarm system on the compressor. And this is on the compressor side, so let's say for some reason you had a wind shift and you were getting a lot of smoke from the fire that you're on. It's going to detect the carbon monoxide that's coming in through the intake, and if it's over a certain amount, it's automatically going to kick the compressor off. Or if it detects a certain amount at startup, it will not start the compressor. So if you have a problem getting the compressor to run at first, there's 2 things to check. One, check and make sure this carbon monoxide detection system is not an alarm. If it is, you can reset it by hitting enter. The second thing to check, if the compressor does not power on after the 5-minute warm-up period and after you've hit the power on button, is to go around to the side here and make sure that the compressor is being supplied with electricity by making sure that all these breakers are on the on position. You have 2 double breakers and 2 single breakers. All of them should be up. If these breakers are not up, power is not coming out into the shoreline to power the compressor. If the compressor still doesn't start, the last thing I would check is to look at my compressor pressure gauge. The compressor pressure switch does not kick the compressor on until the needle is less than 4,000, is my experience. Somewhere around 4,000 psi is when the pressure switch is going to call for the compressor to run. So we're going to go over how to fill an air bottle off of the air trailer. This should be very similar, if not identical, to some of the other cascade systems that we have on the fire department, such as downtown at Station 1, Station 12, and the old shop. I will throw in here that this process can be started before you start the generator and before you start the compressor. At Station 10 we tried our best to keep the air trailer ready to go in case it needs to go to a scene. So you can determine that by looking at your Cascade air bottle gauges. If these are all at 6,000 psi, or even if not all of them are, but at least 3 out of 4 are at 6,000 psi, you should be able to start filling bottles right away without starting the generator and without starting the compressor. So to do that, you're going to open the door for the air bottle containers. You can fill 2 air bottles at a time. Right now we're just going to fill 1. Hook your air bottle up to the valve here. Make sure the bleed valve is closed. Open the bottle. And then open the fill valve above the bottle. Make sure the other one is closed. And when operating all of these valves on the Cascade, including all on the panel and down here, they have O-rings inside, so when you close them, just hand tight is fine. Don't crank down too hard. So our bottle is open, our bleeder is closed, and the fill valve is closed, and this valve is closed because we don't have a bottle over here. If we had 2 bottles, you would do the same on both sides, making sure that all of the valves are open except for the bleeder valves. Close our door, and the first thing that we want to do is open a bottle on our Cascade bank to supply air to the regulator. So on here we have all of our gauges. This gauge is from the compressor. All of these gauges on the corresponding bank number are from all of our bottles on the trailer, on the Cascade. This gauge is supply into the regulator, and then this gauge is what is coming out of the regulator. So if you can kind of think of this as a flow, you're coming from these gauges into this gauge, into the regulator, and this is what's coming out of the regulator. So you'll notice these 2 change when we open a from bank. So when you're taking air from a bank into the regulator, you want to open a from bank gauge. When you're filling the bottles out of the compressor, you want to open the top to bank. So to begin filling the bottle, we'll get air from bank 1. So as we do that, you can see the supply come up, and our regulator pressure is already preset at 4,500 pounds. 4,500 is the max setting to fill our SCBA bottles. If this for some reason is not at 4,500 pounds, you're going to adjust the regulator by increasing pressure to set the pressure. avoid setting the pressure on the decrease. So if you need it to be lower, decrease below and then increase to set it. And keep in mind that this pressure, when you're setting the regulator, is only going to be as high as your available air in your from bank. So now we have air to the regulator, and all we need to do is open our fill valve to put air into the bottle. So we'll crack our fill valve. You should be able to hear air start to flow, and you'll start to see our SCBA gauge start to rise. In order to avoid overheating the bottle and causing unnecessary condensation inside of the bottle, you need to go really slow. You need to go at about 300 to 600 pounds per minute. So now we can probably fill the bottle all the way to 4,500 pounds. Okay, so you can see we've only reached for about 3,900 pounds on our first bank. So we're going to close our fill valve for right now and close our from bank 1, which does not have adequate air supply to get us all the way full. We're going to open bank 2. And now you can see we're back up to 6,000 supply to the regulator and 4,500 out to the bottle, but we're only at 3,900 in the bottle. So crack the fill valve again. And when you get up to 4,500 pounds, then you're ready to take your bottle out. First thing we're going to do is close the bottle valve, then close the supply valve. Just hand tight, crack the bleeder valve, and then unscrew our bottle. When we're filling our bottles, you can fill our banks and fill our bottles at the same time. So your compressor generator can be running, you can be filling these and running the regulator and the fill valve to fill these bottles at the same time. I would probably recommend that. If you can get the generator running after you start filling bottles, get the generator running and get the compressor running. That way you'll have the greatest amount of air available to you. If for some reason you have an extremely large event and you deplete all 4 of these bottles on the cascade, you're going to, instead of taking the from bank valves to supply air to your regulator, you're going to use the storage bypass valve, which is underneath the compressor regulator. When running the compressor, open this storage bypass valve, and then it bypasses all of the banks. All of these valves should be closed, and it will go from the compressor directly to the supply of your regulator. So when you do that, this supply gauge should match the compressor gauge when the compressor is running. And then you'll have to set your regulator before that happens, ideally. If not, then you'll have to set it as the compressor builds pressure in the bottle. You'll have to set it as it runs. But if that happens, then you'll open the storage bypass valve. It'll go into the supply, into the regulator, and then open the fill. And it takes quite a bit more time to fill the FCBA just from the compressor. But if you've depleted your bank, you don't have any other option at that point. So we're going to go over the shutdown procedure when you're using the generator to power the compressor. After you're done filling the bottles that you're filling and you've charged the bank cylinders back up to their full pressure, which is 6,000 pounds. After all 4 cylinders are full at 6,000 pounds, your compressor will be at 6,000 pounds, and the automatic shutoff for the compressor should kick in at 6,000 pounds and automatically power down the compressor. If that does not happen, just make sure that all your valves are closed, and as soon as all your valves are closed, hit the power button, and this power light should go off. The compressor will go into a purge cycle. So this blue light, which says purge cycle, will come on. The compressor will continue to run for a number of minutes until the purge cycle is complete, and then the compressor will automatically shut off. After the compressor has stopped running, and you'll be able to tell that by going around to look at the compressor. This cooling fan here on the compressor will stop turning. So if you see that cooling fan stationary, you know the compressor is no longer running. The generator is still going to be running, so it'll be noisy still, so you may or may not hear it. So once the compressor stops, you can turn the genset key to the off position, and the generator will shut down pretty much immediately when you turn the key to the off position. After that is done, again, just verify that all your valves are closed, and you can secure the trailer. When this pressure starts to come up, we're going to open 2 bank. Now we're filling 4,000. Air is coming from here into this bank. We're going to fill bank 1.